To Comic-Con Baltics Trackmania Open. This will be the final day of the Trackmania competition. Today we have the 3 matches being played out. First will be the winners bracket final. We'll have the 3 Polish players, Mime, Deska, Forever, and Lithuanian player Auris will be contesting on potential slot in the grand finals afterwards. After this set, we will have also the lower bracket being played out. And then afterwards, we'll have the grand finals of the event being take place. So today with me, I will have Zink, who will join us, who was one of the participants from day 1, will be assisting today with the cast. So how are you feeling, Zink, about this matchup that will be happening today?
It's gonna be an amazing match. I already feel it, because I've already seen how they played yesterday. It was an amazing sight to behold, let's say like that. Can't wait to see it today on the big stage.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with Trackmania, the way how this will work, in this tournament, we have 4 players playing on specific 5 maps. In each of the maps, there will be 4 rounds played. So all the players will be starting with 100 points. Depending on their position, they'll lose points. So the first player will get -3, second place will get -5, third place will get -7, last place will get -10. If the players do not finish in a round, they'll get -10. After basically when their points will run out, if they finish last, they'll be securing last place and will be sent to losers bracket from this match. So at the very start, we had online qualifiers that were being played out with multiple people from multiple nationalities and countries, and then we ended up to 16 people who ended up to this event in Comic-Con Baltics. In day 1, from day 1, we got down to just 6 people. 4 of us are we seeing at the moment on stage, 2 of them who will be also playing afterwards. So soon we'll be ready with our match. So what are your predictions on this match? So we at the moment have Mime, who's one of the current Trackmania Grand League players, also played at the top of the professional league. Mime is, Forever is his manager, but also was a very competitive dirt player in a couple of years ago. Still is quite, let's just say, he still has something into him. Auris currently is one of the top Lithuanian players from the Trackmania scene, also quite known in the international scene as well, especially having this pace-based top gameplay style to him. And Deska was also a bit of a universal player, basically focused on tech-like maps, dirt-like maps, and still hasn't really been that active in competing nowadays, but definitely has showcased that he can still keep up, and has also in the online qualifiers and in day 1 has definitely showed himself, and that's why he's still in the winners bracket. So who do you think could be the potential favorites coming out from this match?
I think Auris is clearly the dark horse this time around. The 3 Polish players are pace-wise just unmatched, in my opinion. But
So of course I would say the favorite is Mime. Mime was looking kind of shaky. A lot of the players, it's their first time actually playing on stage, so there will be a bit of the shakiness coming to the hands sometimes. But some of the rounds we saw, especially on day 1 at the Trackmania booth, there were some ridiculous close, especially between some of the Polish guys and Bits, who is the Lithuanian player who will be playing from the lower side. So soon still some warm-ups are still happening. And around at 45 minutes, we'll be starting off with our match. So we have a very unique setup. So if you're on the stage, you will see that every single what you're seeing, well, basically what each player is seeing, you're also seeing from the on-stage POV. It's not really visible from on the stream side, but this is kind of unique ambience because a lot of people in Trackmania, it's very unique. You can basically compete at the top level with either on keyboard, controller. We also had a wheel player, the Sander, who is the #1 player in Baltic States, who won the Baltic League, was even playing on a flight stick. So there's quite diversity of playing. A lot of people are using cameras. Also, Mime and Auris are both playing on stretched resolution, which is usually stretched is a bit known for like shooting games, but it's also quite popular in Trackmania because it really helps out on being more precise with certain maps. It seems like looks like still not on the way, so we still have some setups happening. Well, the players are slowly getting ready. So yeah, there will be 5 maps that will be played during this. It will be completely shuffled with 4 rounds. All the players will be starting with 100 points. The bottom 2, so the match will end with the bottom 2 players being eliminated. So the points will kind of work as like a life bar, if you can say it like that. And we'll be playing till the top 2 players are basically will survive and 2 players are eliminated, will be sent to the lower final that we'll be witnessing afterwards. So it looks like getting all the players ready. A couple doing some last few warm-up rounds on the map. So at the moment there will be 5 custom-made maps that were by our players, also with beautiful sponsors who will manage to especially Skytech, who managed to supply us with the computers, especially at the booth. They're also at there was a bit of a like trending on Twitter that managed to get quite impressive, let's just say, FPS on the game. That was kind of a bit, let's just say, a bit controversial, not like controversial, but let's just say popping some FPS records as well with a lot of people from Genesis and Nox also supplying some hardware for players to use. Looks like all the players are ready, so we'll be waiting for the match admins to start off the match, and we're ready with our first round, with the first warm-up rounds with the first map on this match. So most of the maps in Trackmania are very like Musa, so you see multiple types of surfaces. They're dirt, grass, regular tarmac roads. In Trackmania, you just need to use 4 keys: accelerate, brake, and steering. Or there are multiple techniques that you can use using just these 4 keys. And there are also gears that are kind of part within the game. The main thing, especially on dirt and grass surfaces, or the players will try to be avoiding steering when the gear change does happen, because it can allow into small speed loss, which will also be quite, let's just say, noticeable on this, especially this map, Felina, where there's going to be quite decisive parts. So on this Felina is the first map. It will be a relatively straightforward map. There will be some gear parts, especially on dirt parts. Players will be trying to go on the outside lines because it really helps out maintaining the momentum. And also in this plastic part, upcoming part, after this gear, dirt uphill, it's possible to still maintain the gear, but if they don't lose the gear, which losing the gear means that they basically steer or do a slide while a gear change happens, it makes them lose a bit of a lot of speed. The speed will be dropped, as Auris already didn't get the gear. It was like the top players were showcased. As we're still 30 seconds in our first warm-up round, and we'll be starting with the match. So from your player experience, would you say that how was this map like to play in rounds? And would you really believe that, let's say, the middle part with the dirt jump was kind of, let's say, a mini identity of this map?
To be honest, when I was playing this map, it was all in the beginning. If I manage to keep the gear, then it's just save everything else. But otherwise, this map is really stressful to play, especially when you have such high-level players on the opposite side. Because the pace on this map, it can go so fast. You could feel like you're playing really good, but you're like a second behind some of these players.
All right, so we're starting with our first round on the winner's bracket final. So I would say the target times we might see from the top players is around 57. We just saw that Auris was not the first player who did not get the gear. Forever at the moment currently leading by falling by Mime and Deska in third place. Auris, the local Lithuanian, Fan did manage to get a gear. Well, there's a close fight at the top for the top position so far. Seems like all the 3 poles are fighting. Actually, there's a small grip part that you can get it. It seems like the Deska got it. Forever managed to get a respawn where he can't restart the whole part. Deska now goes into the lead. Vittel will say Underdogs, he still touched the side. Mime now goes on into the front. Auris as well with a pretty late mistake. He still managed to be in the 3rd position with Forever having that respawn being so costly that he's still in the 4th position right now. But sadly that uphill touch by Deska really threw him on the 2nd position that could have been his round to take. And Mime will be starting off the match with a 1:06 time. I would say the 59s might be the place where we might see some of the top times coming in. The world record on this map is a 59.6. So already doing around 0.5 from world record, that's already quite solid start.
Generally, as always, this is just the warm-up round. Everyone's finding their groove right now. But yeah, just to keep up with the top times here, like with Mime right now, you really have to risk almost everything on this map. And the smallest mistake, as we saw there from Forever, it cost so much. He lost the gear there as well because of that.
Yeah, so it completely started to completely roll off. Like the small touch completely misses the gears, because the gears basically depend on what kind of speed you have for certain parts. And most of the small touch there by Auris as well. Seems like Deska and Mime at the 1-2 positions. Forever, despite having the early mistake, still got overtaken by Forever, but looks like there's a 1-2. Mime got a very nice low jump, gets a lot of exit speed out coming on the middle part, while Deska is still in a very consistent 2nd place. Forever with an unlucky touch, bit of LAN jiggers coming on Sam with Auris as well. So yeah, let's just say a bit of pressure even early on, trying to get just used to the whole environment, how it's like to play in such an, let's just say, ecosystem. But seems like, yeah, quite solid 1-2-4 coming out from this round, and Mime will be taking with a 59.5 actually.
Whoa. That's an amazing time.
Yeah, that was a pretty good time. We definitely managed to, I believe that was like top 3 world at this point. So a very solid start from Mime already. And meanwhile, at the moment in total standings, Mime is currently with 94 points. Definitely those minus 3-pointer rounds definitely put him in a bit more solid position. But it all comes down at the end parts of the match. But let's just say the points have been like depleted when the real pressure will come in, because players definitely won't be in the last positions when the reverse finalist will kick in. So that seems like so far a relatively clean round. It looks like the gear loss was lost from Mime's side. The rest of the top 3 players are currently in
Interestingly enough, actually, Mime didn't lose that much with that right now. He's still keeping up.
Yeah, he managed to still keep up. Seems like that for Descom forever as well. Actually, Mime is starting to catch up, risks quite a bit in a lot of parts. Our is also starting to keep up pace, but both the rest of the Polish players are still trying to get a very nice, actually, dirt wiggle from Mime. Managed to caught up to Forever as well. Our is now starting to get a bit more increase, a bit of an increase with 0.3. Forever touched a lot, sacrificed a lot of extra speed due to that. Allows Auris for a potential overtake. Deska actually doing pretty strong this match, with Deska now currently leading, but Mime also goes for a potential snacking on the minus 3 points. Will not allow the minus 3.
Mime actually did the full comeback right there.
Yeah, he managed to snipe it in the end, denying the Deska the win. Very, very good round as well, especially from the top 2 side. Both players doing 59. We actually didn't see that many 59s at the backstage matches in day 1. Also in in the online qualifiers, when the pressure wasn't that high, because it was quite relaxed environment. It was like also was quite rare, so seeing on stage when the pressure is really up there, the 2 people doing 59s is also quite nice to see. Already 2 early mistakes. The people are really trying to force for that outside lines, because they really need to go as much closer to the balls, because it allows to maintain as much momentum as possible. And both Deska and Nauris couldn't manage to get it that properly, because it's really hard to get it. Currently it's the 1v1 between the 2 into the breach players, but with Mime and Forever. At the moment, Mime had a way better approach, falling by Forever. Both Deska and Auris is 1 second behind the top 2 players from this specific round. Mime went for a very nice dirt wiggle and a very smooth landing on top of that. It's kind of hard to describe how actually hard that is to do. And Forever with a beautiful dirt uphill, especially from being a dirt main with Trackmania 2 dirt uphills, definitely starting to cash in without it, starting to close in with the 0.1 difference, but already I don't think it will be possible to gain in, as Mime will get a clean sweep the first map with a basically just losing minus 12 points, which is the absolute minimum you can get. And looks like the Polish players are definitely looking out top, coming up after the first map.
These rounds were mesmerizing. I'm still trying to process how Mime, despite losing the gear at the start, managed to drive a 59 on the 3rd round there.
Yeah, to give an idea, Mime was basically doing around 0.1, 0.2 from world record every round, showing insane consistency. As we're gonna go to Autoencoder, which is a map by the American mappers Ski Freak and Exotica. So it will be the same structure, only 4 rounds on this map. How they will still maintain the points from the first map as well, because it will overlap between all of the maps. That's how a normal Trackmania match is usually being played out. So this map is going to be the most straightforward one. That includes a bit more tech-like drift, which is basically you can only initiate a drift normally, starting from 3rd gear. However, it is sometimes you can also do it earlier with the Neo slide, but however we're probably not going to see that often. So it's going to be quite straightforward map. It will all come down on who gets basically the most tightest approaches. However, at the very end, basically the finish is set on a bit more sideways. So you basically, for the most optimal way, you have to go through a triangle. And if you go a bit more on the right side, you can you can basically snipe the trajectory. So you enter the finish a bit shorter. And I feel like at this level, when like basically the pressure will be the most highest, like I already saw, like Mime tried to snipe in from the closest side as possible. But it was not enough. But we'll see the very first round on Autoencoder and see how this will all go. So on the very, very start of the track, you basically need to maintain the grip as much as possible, because basically the more grip you have, or at least one wheel is touching the ground, it gives a bit more acceleration. Here people will be going for the low jump. Always gets a bit too big of a higher jump, loses a bit of extra speed due to that, but the pack seems quite close so far. Deska Mime leading in the 1-2 positions, but it seems like ours is quite behind them as well, with only 0.2 behind. It's quite important here keep the gear as Mime does not get it. Due to that, he loses a lot of exit speed coming up to the upcoming part as Forever, Deska and Auris are fighting for the top 3 positions in this one. In this format, it's very important to not be in last positions because it very rewards consistency. However, getting that a couple of round wins to basically get that, ensure that safety net coming up.
Mime is already back.
Yeah, but the mistake from Auris was enough. It looks like another mistake from Mime's side, so it's currently going to be a 1-2 so far from both Deska and Forever, who had been the dirt players in the previous game. Seems like it's going to be a solid 1-2 from there when Deska will take the -3 points. However, now Mime, despite having a pretty solid first map, will get the -2 that will definitely drain his points down in this match.
Yep, cactus.
I mean, that's what I'll tell you. Okay. That's all you can say. But yeah, the cactus and the people are going to be trying to force that inside line. Some people go for a bit more outside approach right there, but we saw the cactus clipping happening time to time. But seems like a very close match, especially at the top side. No major mistakes from the bottom side. All the time there's pretty solid pace at the top. So far, no early mistakes. All 4 players are quite really close at the top side of the match first part. Bit small dirt break adjustments coming in the middle part. Auris is actually leading. The local Lithuanian is actually now leading the pack. But he's now currently chased by 3 Polish players from the back. No major dirt adjustment. Seems like a very close field. All players are between 0.1 second just from first to last. Deska clips the checkpoint. Very unfortunate respawn as well, because we'll have to respawn from a standstill. That will definitely put him in the -10 points. That will drain his points down. Looks like Mime and Auris, both of them touched as well, but sadly did not lose that much speed comparing to Forever. Forever will have a proper -3 points. It was Mime with a small touch, but it will be Auris catching in the -5 at the end.
Mime! Dude, the cactus is just a mime magnet.
Seems like it's like 2 out of 2, you know, cactus hits so far, which is definitely a bit ruining his points that he managed to basically save up from the first map. We'll see how this will go in though, as we have 2 more rounds left on this map. Currently we do have Mime leading with 71 points. Deska is in second, Forever, and Auris is the closest one to the danger zone in the bottom 2 positions. No early mistakes so far. We have seen a lot of people maintaining a bit of losing a bit of a gear there, or losing a bit of a momentum at the very start. Seems like Auris is the one with a bit the slowest starts. However, for the rest of the Polish field is at the top. Mime with the early touch, not the best of the starts as well. He really tried to force that inside line because we saw how close the pack feels, so all the micro adjustments and all the micro optimizations from the turns is really needed to have a very successful outcome out of the match. As currently Deska is leading, hopefully will not do a flip from the checkpoint. Sadly, actually took it very safe line, went a bit more the outside as Deska hits the side. Lose a lot of speed coming to the uphill. Is now Forever leading the field, and Auris is in second place. Both of Deska and Mime, who are looking currently in terms of points favorites, are a bit at the bottom of the field. This will make the whole match way closer, as the top 2 players don't have any silly mistakes at the end and still manage to finish off the round with a solid 57-1 at the end. But yeah, now Mime getting, let's just say, -10, -10, and -7 in the last 3 rounds has definitely drained his points. That's starting actually now close up the whole field, as there's only 4 points difference between first and third. So to keep in mind, the bottom 2 players from this match will be going to the losers final. Top 2 will be promoting to the grand final at the end of the match. As we're coming on the final round on autoencoder. We have seen a pretty close rounds all the time, just some silly mistake that we usually never see. But of course, a lot of pressure does come in, and usually with pressure, a lot of weird situations starting to pop out. So far, a relatively clean start for everyone. Auris is only a bit behind the Polish players. None of the players will lose the gear. People try to risk, basically trying to reduce the airtime. However, Auris tried to went for a bit straighter approach. Still didn't lose that much. Forever a bit too big of a break adjustment. Still drops down to third place. Mime and Deska currently in the 1-2, fighting for that -3, -5 points. No silly mistakes at the derp uphill. Auris took it very safe from the inside line, tries to attack it from the outside. It wasn't the best of setups. Currently, Deska and Mime really fighting for those first places, as Forever follows in third place. And seems like Forever did clip a bit.
Whoopa!
And it was actually a very sick round at the top, as Mime did take the -3 at the end with the 56-9 on top of that. And Deska with the -5. And a small mistake from Forever actually cost him those extra points that allowed Auris to overtake him to get at least that -7 instead of the -10 at the end.
I feel like autoencoder was the best example of like how much pressure the players are feeling here, because the further you get in the tournament, the higher the skill level is, and also these maps, you have to risk so much. That map had so much space for mistakes just to happen. There isn't like anything you can save really.
Yeah, now the next map is actually going to be by Deska, so he's one of the players who actually made the map and also now played to this event. So this map will contain some certain parts where people will be going under some water, so like for example at the start, but it immediately gets cancelled out with the dirt physics. So in Trackmania, when you touch water with just one wheel, you get water physics on what's also called watery tires or wet tires, where basically you get a very slippery side, but with the dirt, it immediately cancels it out. So it's going to be a really straightforward map. There's not basically, I would say this is one of the easiest maps. Maybe the Kiesla map is a bit easier. However, we might see some very straightforward rounds. However, the end part, there's a very, let's just say, weird approach entering over the freewheel block, which shuts down your engine for the last jump. Looks like we already had a pretty close round in the warm-up, so I think that gives a bit of a, let's just say, appetizer so what we could see on this map.
This map is definitely one that it is very pace heavy. Like, I don't think there is going to be a lot of bonking, let's say, but the pace is going to be the difference.
Yeah, so I believe like people will be risking really crazy, like for as inside lines and outside lines, especially we saw at the start, everyone like tried to go as close as possible to the dirt outside just to get that momentum going. Everyone seems to be really close. Only Otis is a tiny bit behind by 0.1. Seems like a pretty solid 1-2-3 so far from the top field. Seems like Deska is leading, but Mime gets a bit more extra speed coming out from the tank side. As now we're coming in the earth drop. Seems like a solid 1-2-3. Mime is a bit leading, followed by Deska and Forever. Now it all comes down. We saw a lot of mistakes, especially people oversteer a bit. Deska did oversteer, didn't hit the side. It was very, very close. Otis is starting to be shaky. 1 second behind Mime currently. We have seen a lot of unfortunate touches. Deska barely made it. This turn didn't hit the side, but it will be out. Mime will be taking the -3 and securing the first place. While meanwhile, Otis will be draining down a bit in points. We're getting -10 at the end, and seems like we're starting to see a bit of a split between the top 2 and bottom 2, as Mime and Deska are slowly looking as the favorites from this match.
That last round was definitely something to behold. Those times are actually amazing. Like, I don't think even my PBs are close to that. I don't remember.
So we saw an early mistake from Otis. That's what I said, it really needs to risk at every single corner coming out to the final matches. As a Lithuanian Otis did fall off from the first shot, as Mime has a really insane start as Deska hits the flag and puts himself out of the race from this round. Mime has a very stable lead so far. Otis is quite far behind so far. Deska also, so we have a bit of a boring round with really big gaps. So as long as no silly mistakes happen, we should already basically all the positions set in stone. Usually with those one mistake, I think it's basically in everything. One small mistake can start to domino, as now Deska didn't have the best exit speed coming out, and Mime will have a very comfortable first position with a 49.8. Actually, I think that was the fastest round, fastest match time from this whole event as well. So definitely Mime is showing that he's definitely putting himself as a contender coming out in this winner's bracket and potentially the whole event at the end as well.
I'm actually very curious about 49.80. Like, what position even has that? Like, if he would do that in single, like solo, is that like top 5 world guaranteed, right?
Seems like it, as Otis had an unfortunate start of the game. He really tried to push it. He got a very consistent mistake at the start. So it's all up on the Polish guys for the 1-2-3 so far. Who will get the -7 and who will get the -3 coming out in the end? Mime has a solid lead, following by Deska and Forever in third so far. We saw that Mime was really catching up and getting a lot of, let's just say, increasing the lead coming out on the tech side, but seems like no major skill discrepancies happening and major skill gaps, as all players are currently between 1.1, while Mime is leading with 0.2. Mime had a very nice snap underwater, trying to cancel out the wet tires under the water, trying to keep his momentum, fix his mistake. He did lose the lead a bit, but is still allowed to maintain his lead with another very consistent pace coming from Mime with a solid 49 from his side. Meanwhile, Otis as well with an unfortunate start and all the time. It seems like mistakes can't happen at this state, as he's only 12 points entering into the reverse finalist.
This is insane. How does he keep that pace up? 3 rounds in a row.
So hopefully no mistake finally from Auris, so he gets a consistent start. Seems like Forever had an insane third start, put himself in a minor lead as well. Auris took it a bit too safe, thankfully did survive, but did lose a bit of speed. However, his exit speed coming out on tech turn was a bit better than the rest of the Poles. So at the moment, Auris is trying to chase the Polish players, gets a very awkward approach there. Mime with a bit of an oversteer at the end, lost his bit early position. Auris trying to go for a bit of an inside line. Looks like Mime with a bit of an oversteer, dropped down from the 1-2 position so far. Deska Forever leading with the 1-2. Auris is trying to catch up, trying to force for the inside lines, trying to get a bit extra speed, trying to catch up on certain parts. Mime barely saved it with the underwater slide, because he was also, because if the car is a bit sideways, just a tiny bit, it will lose all the momentum. Looks like there's going to be an insane round at the top, as both Deska and Forever had a fight for the
Mime
top.
finished? Did you see that?
No, Mime clipped, and he got the minus 10 in the end.
He clipped the finish, but still, what? I'm actually confused.
So yeah, a bit of a minus 10. I think it's better for the rest of the Polish players trying to drain out Mime a bit. But now, Auris is only 5 points away from entering reverse finalist. So when his points will be depleted, if he places last, he will be eliminated from this match and will be sent to the lower bracket due to that. But at the same time, if he just basically even reaches reverse finals and keeps getting top 3 all the time, just not be last, then he can still survive and clutch it out to the grand final. So it's not like the whole match is, let's just say, over yet in that case. However, if you look at the total points, Mime is currently still with 39 points left. Deska in second with 33, Forever with 23, and Auris is with 5 points. So if Auris basically just needs to win a round, if he'll get that extra, let's just say, safety net round that he can, let's just say, afford to get that it basically allows him to be last in a round, especially we saw some of the previous rounds. Well, the Polish players definitely are showing a really insane pace, and Auris is sometimes really crumbling. He can definitely keep up, but the consistency is the thing that really starts to mess him up, coming off a bit of from the pressure. Remember, he was saying bit off stages, we're probably like fate on stage due to pressure, which is but you know, but thankfully that won't happen, hopefully. But as he will really be closing in on a potential send-off to the lower bracket. Afterwards, he'll be starting the first round on Rusko by Kisla. This is one of the more straightforward maps. There is one of this, let's just say, gear fiesta that's kind of needed, and the middle part, where the players will trying to get the upper gear early on and trying to maintain it, as we have an early mistake, and it was Deska who had a small clip, really tries to push it for the inside, and suddenly pushed it a bit too much, and due to that dropped to around like 1 point, how many seconds? 1.1 second deficit comparing to the leading field. It does allow a bit of opportunity for also Auris, but Auris really needs that first place in this round to get that extra safety net for upcoming couple of rounds. Currently, Mime is leading from away Forever in the first set. Mime has a very comfortable lead actually, but it all comes down to this gear part. Auris tries to force for the inside line, trying to get the upper gear in this part. Sadly, it does not go that successfully. Auris managed to catch up Forever, who a bit messed up his side. Mime meanwhile comes down. Here is a bit of a blind turn, especially from the drift side. Bit of an unorthodox turn coming from this one. No silly bonks here. Auris also barely made it. And it seems like this Mime you can push from the outside, and Auris crashed the side, unfortunately, but still enough for him to still barely clutch it out into third place. But yeah, Auris now be entering their minus reverse finalist, and Mime secures another minus 3 points, putting himself in quite a comfortable position to not be eliminated from this match.
Just when I wanted to mention how Rusko is, like, in my opinion, like the easiest map. There shouldn't be big mistakes here. Like, this should be really pace heavy. But as we saw Deska bonking on the CP at the start on the last round, that was something I haven't seen before. But this round seems to be much better. We are all in the same spot this time.
Yeah, no silly mistakes, but Auris definitely doesn't want to be in the last position, because if he gets last in this round, or if a player gets last with reverse finalists, they will be eliminated from the match. And so far he is in the last position, so he really needs to risk it for the end, or maybe hope for a bit of a mistake from the other side. As looks like he got his wish granted, as Deska had a bit of a mistake, so potentially still keeping Auris left in the match. As Deska bit clipped in the side, had a small adjustment. Where is Deska? The main rise are on Deska and Auris, as there's a pretty solid 1-2 so far between the into the breach players, but all comes down to the end. Deska was really forcing for the outside. Well, he sniped, and he sniped the Auris at the very end, and due to that, Auris will be sent to the lowest bracket and be eliminated. What an insane outside line from Deska's side that managed to snipe Auris just in the last turn, eliminating Auris from this match, and we still have one elimination from this match.
Okay.
That was very, very unfortunate. He tried to take it safe, probably saw the checkpoint times, but it was not enough. And Deska really sent it off and trying to risk it for that out, and he managed to get it to basically send off, have a, let's just say, a bit less stress in the match, because now there won't be any minus 10 points coming, unless the players do not finish, well, there'll be minus 15 points. But now it's all upon the 3 Polish players. Who will be one of them? Only one of them will be going to the lower side. Mime currently in the most safest position with 33 points to spare, while Deska and Forever are both in the 2nd and 3rd place. So the 3rd player will also be eliminated from this match, while top 2 will be moving on to the grand finals afterwards.
This is going to be a really close one between Deska and Forever, I'm guessing.
Seems like a very nice approach so far by Deska. Mime still in the lead, but seems like very good exit speed comparing to Forever.
Another
Mime
one?
is still leading, but seems like no fancy outside lines there. Mime tries to bit adjust it, but still gonna be, and Forever will be the person who will get the -7 at the very end. And it looks like Forever might be the, he was looking like this number 3 in this matchup, as Deska and Mime definitely looking at his favorites, but however the points are still very close. So if Forever does get last place, he will get a -7, will be sent out to reverse finalist, put himself into danger zone. However, he can still deplete the points from the other players, as Deska has only 11 points left, but maybe he can also drain out Mime as well, especially if Mime is starting to get a bit more too relaxed and starts to play a bit too safe, and Rega gets drained out to the match and potentially be put in reverse finalist as well.
I just noticed Mime drove a 57.2 last round. And that's honestly mind-boggling. I have no clue how.
Yeah, Mime is all the time just doing 0.1, which is basically close to perfect every single round. It's so hard, because that's why some of the mistakes definitely will pop up when they definitely need to force, especially trying to maintain the gears, as Forever will be put himself in the last position. And I believe that will be the round that will send off Forever now into the reverse finalists, as there's a 1v1 happening at the top side, and we'll get the -3, -5, but so far seems like it'll be the both 2 players will be quite comfortable in the rest of the match, as we'll be coming on to the next part, as Mime does get the lead with the -3 and the Deska with the -5, and the Forever will be get the -7, and due to that he will be put into reverse finalist, putting himself into danger zone of potentially being sent off to the lowers finals.
That's another 57.2.
And a 0.3 from Deska as well, so...
This map is insane, actually. You see the times Mime is driving right now, for example. You drive it yourself, you think, this seems exactly the same, like it looks the same. I take the same lines and everything. But how am I half a second slower? I don't know.
Like those are those small things that add up, like how much do you oversteer, how much exit speed, how they keep up for each of the turns. And trying to just go closer to walls, trying to reduce the travel distance, all those small things just add up, especially at the higher levels of Trackmania, where it's very important to basically push yourself higher than the rest of the field. So all those, let's just say, trying to go closest to the walls, as we'll see, for example, on this right turn, like it depends on who goes higher, closer, but basically they get less skid difference, and due to that they don't oversteer as much, keeping way more exit speed coming out to that turn, for example. As we're going on Rose Raid, so Rose Raid will be the maps that is the map that has certain parts, for example here, where there's basically just one tight gap that the players need to take. Also coming on this part, it's very important to maintain the grip. People will be going on the left side, trying to just maintain, basically reduce the airtime, but possible, trying to just keep the momentum going. And we saw a lot of mistakes. This was definitely one of the maps with more, let's just say, consistency-based maps from the map pack. But I think at this level it all comes down who will be the fastest. The main eyes now are on Forever, as he is currently in reverse finalist. Also, if Deska gets last, we might be put into double reverse finalist, where only one, basically the loser of those rounds, will be eliminated. So at the moment, Forever definitely does not want to be in the last position. He needs that top 2 coming from this round. Mime is very comfortable chilling with 27 points, so he's basically kind of qualified. However, still any kind of miracle comebacks still can happen at any point. And seems like Forever, it seems like gonna be out of it, as he had a very early mistake, but we still, some fancy clips can still potentially happen from the top 2, and it will be coming out on the end parts of the map, as we saw some parts, especially in the dirt part, where all the players, we saw people just be forced out to the outside line, and due to that getting airtime, but seems like the top 2 players, Deska and Mime, are still managing to maintain that so far. So it seems like they also go for the small clip, as actually Deska got a bit of a save there. He got a bit of an airtime from the other side, managed to still maintain it. That seems like going to be Mime taking a very comfortable first place, and Deska will be in a second. It seems like Forever will be eliminated from this match and will be sent on to the losers finals. But losers finals where Bits from Lithuania and Bresso from Germany will be awaiting them in the finals.
That's the
Congrats to
server
Mime
record.
and Deska on making to the grand finals, and Forever and Auris will start are not still eliminated just yet. They'll be playing in the losers finals, but they'll be coming just after this match. But yeah, once again, congratulations to Mime and Deska on taking the W in this match. So how was your expectation? Did you believe that Deska could be one of the people who would come out from the winner's side to the grand finals? And how do you see how this match falls, and what kind of level it potentially show you, even from a player point of view?
To be honest, I did think Forever would be the second place here, especially at the start of the match and everything. But holy, Deska still, great game. That was a nice little final, let's say, decider match between the third and second place.
But yeah, it was quite close. I myself was also predicting potentially maybe even Auris climbing in, because you'll definitely see a player from other nationality. It won't be a full Polish final. But so far, Forever also looking as the favorite, especially as Maurice also came. But also Bits is looking very prepared. He did have a very unfortunate match yesterday in day one, where he was sent into losers, where he had a very stacked match where he had to play against Forever and, Mime and Deska as well from his side. So we might see even Bits popping up from the lower side, but we will see. Now we'll have a small setup. Always set up everything for the losers finals. So make sure to stay tuned. I'll be soon back with the loser finals between Forever, Auris, Bits, and Bresso. So stay tuned.